Hi, everybody. Welcome to season 4, episode 19 of The Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry podcast with me, Philip Ideson, and Darren MacAnthony, chairman and owner of Peterborough United. And we missed last week. We did Thursday, Friday the week before, but it was a really busy week last week with transfer deadline and you're traveling, and we've got a lot to cover. So let's start with the deadline and then kind of go from there. So deadline day, Jed Steer. Let's start with Jed Steer. So Jed Steer left. You let him go and came back at the last minute. So how did that all kind of work itself out?
So we were really hamstrung with the wage cap. And people were kind of asking me, going, but you let a left back go, you let PK go, you let whatever. So what I'd done is I had in the module left PK's wages that we'd agreed to pay to the end of the season there, just in case by some chance we could,
he was available again.
Correct. So I wanted to leave it there. I didn't want to touch that space. So everyone knows in August what happened. Clark Harris was going to Bristol Rovers. It was 700 grand, but wages saved, it would have been over 900 grand minimum in our model cap, which would have left us some space. I went and signed 2 players, Malik Muddersill, Jacob Wakeling, thinking, and it still would have left us maybe a little bit of space for January and improving, because you really have to do it right. Because look, the EFL are really, I commend them for it. They will embargo you.
Yeah.
If you go over, you get embargoed, and worse than that, if you go over purposely and squeeze through, they'll embargo you in the summer. And you don't give a fuck about sometimes a January embargo, but what you definitely don't want is a summer embargo where you're over the limit. Like last summer, I had a real problem signing players and doing deals and whatever until we'd done the Taylor deal, because we were just, right there in the bubble. So Jed was on a short-term deal, and we were trying to bring him back in with a similar thing. Obviously, there was the whole "I'm a number one, number two" thing. That's not a me problem. That's a manager problem. That's up to him with the boy. I have a really good relationship with his agent, who's like a big hitter with Stella, who doesn't usually deal with League One players, but I have a great relationship with him. So I'd landed in the States on, when was deadline day? Thursday?
Yeah.
Right. So I flew home on Wednesday. I had to go home for a college thing with my son, even though I was meant to be in Scotland deadline day or whatever. And everyone was a bit surprised I was traveling, but I was on an airplane where I thought I'd have internet. So the biggest disaster was I paid $7 grand for business class in BA, so they don't do it first. And it's the oldest fucking plane in history from Gatwick. And I'm in half an hour into it and there's no fucking Wi-Fi, which is an unmitigated disaster for me, because I expected in this day and age, every plane you get on, you get Wi-Fi. So I'd be able to answer emails, offers, deal with this, deal with that. I'd prep Barry, the manager, Liz, anyway, that for 7 hours I'm in the air, do this, 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 and this.
That must have been a pretty excruciating 7 hours for you.
It was terrible. It was terrible. I'll tell you why. So anyway, so I land. I've got 82 emails the minute we get into Florida airspace. It's like 9:30 UK time. And one of the things was, at that point, I'm like, it doesn't look like there's any way we're going to fulfill that PK thing. The wages and whatever. But we were paying a good chunk of his wages, so there's a good bit of space there. So I rang Baz and I said, look, get on to David, the agent of Jed. Offer Jed this. Come in, compete with Nick, but better than that, help Nick, help us win promotion. Come into the end of the season, we'll give you that in wages, but I'm also going to give you a bonus. I'm going to give you a figure and a bonus to do that. And Jed's been brilliant. He's as good as gold. And I understand, he didn't leave because, he left because there were loads of circumstances involved. So it was always a case of we wanted to kind of bring him back. And it was a bonus for the manager. Look, Nick's our number one. We signed him. He's got 10 clean sheets. He's done fucking brilliant. He's young. And he's going to be he's probably the first goalie we'll ever make money on. And he got an injury, a bad one, that kept him out. And Jed's come in and done fantastic. But we've then got, obviously, Finn, who's a penalty 8 shootout expert. We're going to try and get him out on loan for a while. And then we've got our own, in-house young goalie who's been with us for a long time, who we thought might be our number one this year. So we've actually got a lot of goalkeepers in the goalkeeper department, you know what I mean? So Will Blackmore, by the way, is the name of the kid, who's our own goalie, and he's had a tough year. But he's now back from his hip surgery in, I think, 4 weeks. So basically, I said to Baz, get that in from, see if it can be done. Nice little surprise for the manager. Was able to get that done. But obviously, I had offers from Coventry in my inbox that had been sent at 10 in the morning when I took off. And there were deadlines, involved in it and everything else, and they were blown because I didn't get any emails.
Yeah, because they've got to figure out if they got that or whether they got to look somewhere else as well if they want to.
Of course. But so how it all transpired was Coventry a couple of weeks before had already reached out to us, and they'd also, their owner's a good guy. He's a great guy. They got Dean Austin does their deals, and then they got their owner, Doug, and he'd invited Baz down there to have a coffee, get to know him, and start a relationship. So I kind of knew. Barry rang me and said, "What do you think I should do?" And I said, "Well, it's obviously about one of our players. Go and do that." I said, "It's good to have relationships with good clubs. We've got some really good relationships. Brentford, other clubs we have. Coventry are a club in the up. They're going to be in the Premier League eventually. You know, with all due respect, they're a bigger club than us. So, you know, down the line, if they're back in the Premier League and under this owner, I think they will be. It's great to have, you know, we've got Luton, great relation. We've got Brentford. We've got a few clubs like that, you know." So I said to Baz, "Go and have a coffee." Barry rang me on the way back and he said, "Look," he said, "you know, they really want Ephron and also a couple of our other players as well and whatever." And I said, "Well, you know, I don't want to sell Ephron. You know, I don't want to sell any of our front four." It was like Ronnie, then loan back, great, fine. You know, I don't want to tell my manager I'm losing one of our front four because, you know, it'll probably A, assassinate me, and B, fucking walk. But no, Darren knew the situation. So we'd always had a hole. We knew what was facing us, you know, in this window and then the summer onwards or whatever. So anyway, Coventry came in with an offer, led by Doug. And I then went back to them and said, "Look, guys, we're so appreciative of the offer. And I don't want to sound ungrateful. You know, A, it's no to that offer. B, if you do want to buy him, it's a loan back because we're not losing him. You know, and if we were going to sell him without a loan back, it would be ridiculous numbers, but we'd have to get a replacement." So they made a couple of more bids leading up to it. I went backwards and forwards with Doug. I dealt with him direct on emails and whatever else. And I'd given him scenario A, scenario B. Scenario A was a higher number and they take him, but I didn't want that to happen. Scenario B was a lower number and we get him back. So Darren the day before said, "What do you think is going to happen?" I said, "Look, forget it. Don't worry. You know, we're not doing anything with Ephron. It's a day to go. We had two replacements we thought about, but we couldn't get them. They were unattainable, you know, that late and whatever." And I got in the flight and thought nothing of it. But obviously, I got off the flight and there's another offer from Coventry. So anyway, I drove home. My driver took me home. I hadn't seen my wife, kids for 4 weeks. So it's like now about 6 o'clock US time, which is 11 o'clock UK time. I had a chat with Baz. And I said to Baz, "Look, you know, you got to go back and tell Coventry on the offer. You know, it's late in the day here. We've got a day to go. This isn't going to happen." And, you know, my pitch always along, not pitch, but my thing to them was take him, do a deal. I don't want any money now. You can pay it in the summer, whatever. But I want him back on loan. Like, I want him back on loan. That's more important than the money. And it was actually $750,000 less money to do it the way I was suggesting because I wanted the player. And I said, "You're getting a player that I'm going to want more money for in the summer, but you're getting him at today's price." They were kind of like against that. Then I got a message on my phone from the Coventry owner, who's I believe he was in South America or somewhere on the way to Antarctica on some personal travel or whatever else. And he's like, "Is it okay if I call you?" I've never spoken to him before, just by email. At this point, I've had 7 beers because I haven't seen my miss. I haven't drank for a month. So I'm like, I messaged him and I said, "Look, I'm going to warn you. I've had, you know, quite a few drinks." I said, so anyway, so he rang me. We had a really, really good chat. 42 minutes we spoke for. Spoke about football. We spoke about, you know, what happened to them last year in the playoffs. Spoke about deals, spoke about whatever. And he said, "Look, what's it going to take to get done?" I said, "Look, Doug, it's late in the day. I want him back. I don't want to let him out of the building." And he was just like relentless. He was like, "No, that's, you know." So I just said, "Look, let's just leave it. You know, my advice would be take him back, you know, buy him, give him back on loan to us. You know, you get him in the summer. He's one of the best players outside the Prem. He's going to be, you know, he scores another 10 goals. He wins Player of the Year in League One. He's going to be, I'm going to ask for more money." You know, he already couldn't believe what I was asking for, you know, for league. But I'm like, this is what we do at Peterborough. So I also know how important a player he is and why your manager wants him, you know, for our left side. So obviously the player and his agent know all about it. They, you know, want to go. Of course they do.
It's a big paycheck for him.
A big paycheck. It's life-changing. It's a big move. But at the same time, Ephron was brilliant, whereby he didn't cause a ruck. He didn't do what previous players have done and go, "I'm not playing. I'm going on strike." Anyway, so then I got a message at like 1:30 in the morning my time from Doug again. And he was like, this, and this. And I was like, this is crazy. So I'm like, at this point, I'm like, so I went back to him and I said, you know, option A is this, only if we can get a replacement. And I'm kind of running out of time. I'm going to be up at 6 a.m. my time, which was 11 a.m. UK time. In the meantime, I emailed Barry Liz, the manager, and said, try and find replacements. You know, if we can get the replacement we've identified, we'll let him go. If we can't, I'll say no, you know, and don't let him out of the building. So, I said to Liz, don't let Baz let him out of the building and be driving down to Coventry or wherever else. That's a joke. So I got up at 10 to 6 my time in the morning. I've had 3 hours sleep. I'm an absolute bit. So I rang Barry and I said, how are we getting on with the replacements? He was like, no chance. Club want too much money. They won't come, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I let Coventry know. Obviously they were, I won't say upset with me, but, they did everything in their power
Yeah.
to try and get him permanent. The player at this stage obviously is like, I want to go. I rang Darren and Darren's like, what are you going to do? This is a, massive amount of money. And people are quoting like three and a half, and it's more.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to Darren, and I said, no, I'm not letting them leave. Nobody in League One would have done that. Nobody would have, not trying to give myself credit, nobody would have turned down what we turned down. And I did it because I didn't want to stop what we're doing. Even though we're trying to sort our bills out and we're trying to sort all the issues out and whatever else, I just feel something special is going on. And I didn't want to let that specialness leave the building.
Yeah.
So as the day progressed, obviously the Coventry owners messaged me again, and they're trying. I've just gone back and said, "Look, guys, I apologise. I couldn't get a replacement, so I can't do this." But again, I got back to option D. So it's less money. You don't have to pay me for the summer onwards and whatever else. Don't care. I just want the player back. So they were like, "No." And then I've got obviously the same championship club from the summer starts bidding for Ronnie.
Okay.
So this is at 5 p.m. You ask my wife, I'm sat in my dining room. I've got two phones, my English phone, my American phone. Barry rings me to tell me plan B is on with Coventry. This is at 5 o'clock. Then he rings me 10 minutes later and says it's not on.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, we're trying to get it right back. So I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with Barry. Then I'm speaking to the manager. And I'm dealing with also an agent and the right back. We feel we got the right back. We got a deal agreed. Then the manager finds out stuff he didn't like about the right back. Then he rings me and he goes, let's not do this.
Yeah.
Let's not bring the player in the building. Let's not do this. So I'm like, shit, okay. We've now got, it's like 6:30. I'm like, we're running out of time here. And he goes, we'll be fine. We'll be fine with Jadel. James Donnelly, we just got to get him back quicker. We'll be okay. And I'm like, are you sure? 100%. We have the cap space now. We can do this. Then I got this agent ringing me about the Ronnie thing. And because it was out of England, we have to do it. He has to get in the car. And I said, at that point, I said, no, I'll do Ronnie in the summer. No. I was just like, no, this is too late in the day. And I'm definitely not losing two players who are coming back on loan. I'm like, no. I was Watford who were in for Hector at the same time as well, like 2 hours earlier. So it's all like this. So then Barry and Liz ring me at 8 o'clock. And they're like, Coventry want to do plan B. So I'm like, okay. But now you got, the players got to do a medical, the paperwork, what happened in August. Yeah. But most important about the paperwork is, until I see all the documents for the loan signed, I'm not signing any paperwork whatsoever. It's not that I don't trust them, but if that gets lost with the EFL, I'm losing the player. The loan paperwork gets lost. I'm taking less money than what was offered. I'm taking no money now, and suddenly, because of the paperwork, I'm not getting the player back on loan. It could all. So now you're a race against time. I promised all of the fans to do a Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
I've gone on that. I'm reading a 50-page legal document while I'm on that answering questions. I should never have agreed to do that, but I felt bad if I'd let the guys down. I've then got messages from the manager. We're talking Ephron, right backs, How I didn't have a heart attack from the 22 coffees and everything going on. And for, my kids are back from school at this stage. They're winding me up. All I can hear from my kids is, Baz, is that you? Because that's how I call Barry. And I'm just like, stop, And I swear to you, I counted afterwards 188 phone calls in like 7 hours. It was just mad. But we probably had more offers for our players than any other football club in the Football League. And I felt when the window was done, and when Liz sent me the loan paperwork signed and everything was fine and we did it, I felt we did great by the player. We took less money. Yeah. Player got his move. We got the player back. I felt we did great by Coventry. I'm really happy he's going there because I think he'll blossom in Mark Robbins' team. And Doug asked for an option on one of my other players as well, because they like quite a few of our players. So I felt we did good by them in the end. Even though they didn't get their player, they still have a good team. I still fancy them to be top six and have a chance. I felt I did right by the manager. I did right by our fans. it was just the right thing. It was probably the wrong thing to do financially, but the right thing to do from everything
Like
point
the
of
bigger
view.
picture.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. My dad said you're fucking mad. Like, yeah, like mad because he saw the offers and
Yeah.
whatever else. But he still said, brilliant, doing that deal B. But he's like, you're mad. Like, so, and there's a lot of stuff in the future as well on
Well,
top of the thing.
and you've got it's not like he is your only sellable asset.
No, 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 no,
And
no, no,
so
no,
I'm
no,
sure
no, no,
that
no,
changes the calculation as well of
no, no, no. We had five this window. We were getting bids on
Mhm.
five players. We had seven-figure bids on five players in this window. So when I would talk about we have assets all over the
Yeah.
place. We do. So no, we're in a good place, and yeah, we shit the bed on Saturday, but we're in a really good place. Like we have assets all over the place, playing wise. So no, I felt good about it. I thought it was a crappy window from a spending point of view.
Mhm.
The Premier League, I think, spent 900 million less and 930 million less. I'd love to add up where the 80 million went that they did spend. Did most of that leave the country? And
Mhm.
again, I go back to the Premier League, the EFL. Everyone has to fix it
Yeah.
whereby they can shop in the EFL and it doesn't count because that's going to hurt our industry. That's going to hurt our business. That window would have hurt a lot of clubs to trickle down. So that needs to be fixed. That can't happen again. Like, you got spending a billion, 2 billion to suddenly spending 100 million.
Mhm.
That's hurting everybody. I
Something's
was
broken,
delighted.
obviously.
Yeah, yeah. And I was delighted with our trickle down that Barnet are going to make seven figures
Yeah.
on a deal, when we get paid and whatever else. And that's our whole relationship with Barnet, you know what I mean? And whatever else. And again, that helps non-league because Barnet will
Mhm.
sign players and, that's how it should work. So yeah, it was mad. It was fun. It was roller coaster. It was phones. But I looked at my wife when it all closed and I had a drink again. And I was like, have I made a mistake here? Not
Mhm.
going for plan A and whatever. She goes, no, you got to follow your heart. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'll follow my heart. And then I said to her, we're probably fucking losing Saturday. But I follow my heart. It's like we lost after the last window against Portsmouth, and then we went in great runs. So it's fine. But yeah,
But this
no,
is why you do it, right? I mean,
yeah, 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 yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
adrenaline and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah,
that's
yeah.
going on
Yeah,
and
that's who we are. Taking a player for 130 grand 18 months
yeah.
ago and turning it into millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds is what we're all about.
Yeah.
It's and by the way, not for a striker, for a winger.
Yeah.
Like, that's who we are. That's what we do. And now, my wife said to me the next day, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm finding his replacement for the
Mhm.
summer because that's what we do.
Yeah. I mean, I remember because it's only, like you say, 18 months or so. I remember being in your office with Baz when you were talking about him before you brought him in. And,
I'm going to give Barry
that
and his son.
journey.
I'm going to give Barry and his son all the credit for that signing.
Yeah.
His son and Barry, his son goes to a lot of the Barnet games. I've been told me for 2 years to sign that player.
Mhm.
For 2 years. And probably the timing was right. If he signed when we signed Jack Taylor, he wasn't ready, but physically he was ready. So I'm going to give them massive credit. Yes, Grant McCann gets credit for being the manager at the time we signed him and for the first few months and bed them into the team. I'm going to give Barry and his son massive credit. And then I'm going to give Darren and all his coaches massive, massive credit for how they've developed him and a
Mhm.
lot of our younger players. But yeah, you're right. You were there with me when we were doing
Yeah.
that deal. And I'd said at the time for Bradford to sign him
Yeah.
when we were kind of like on the fence about
Yeah.
signing him. I did. I think I said on the podcast, Bradford should go and sign
Yeah,
his
you did.
kid.
And Baz wanted to know why we hadn't done yet because he was still on the market.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Correct. So, but I'm also happy for Ephron and his family, and he's got a young family, and so everyone wins. Coventry got a great player. The boy
How,
gets a great move.
how does someone like so Baz was there when he, him and his son have scouted him, they've seen him, they've taken
So
the chance on him, but now he's gone on to bigger. So yes, you've had 18 months and you're going to have 2 years. You've got financially, but is
yeah,
there some sadness as well that he's kind of moved
uh,
out of the building?
man, I'm already sad, even though he's not, he's on loan, and we were winding him up at the end. We winded him up, giving him a new shirt number because he was a loan player. He was going to lose his like number 10.
It's like number
Uh,
62 or
yeah,
something.
but all the players were really happy for him on Friday. I was speaking to the manager and everything else, and it was like they were all really happy he got his move. But um, we played Barnet. I want to say I was at Comic Con just before COVID in San Diego. I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2019,
Mhm.
but we played Barnet in a preseason game, and Jack Taylor and him were in the game, and the gaffer was here at the time, Darren, and we were like, do we like both of these players? And then Barry's son, Adam, has gone a lot to the Barnet games, and Barry goes a lot to Barnet games. I've watched him a lot, and I've been driving it. Like, you got to sign him. So I always remember some of the fans. We sold Sammy Schmoddock, slaughtered me for selling Schmoddocks and signing the replacement in non-league,
Yeah.
which was Ephron.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the time, you know. So again, that's just how it works. But they don't always hit. But that's how it works. But you know, look, we're going to replace him, but that's in the summer. And if he can drive us to a promotion and he can get all the things he wants, well, then happy days. So that was the window. That was the madness of the window. Did Bradford do any business in the window on deadline day?
On deadline day, we brought in Callum Kavanagh from Middlesbrough.
Okay.
20-year-old striker, been on loan, I think, at Newport and
Okay.
somewhere else. I think was pretty prolific in, at age group level. And
Okay.
so, that's
Did
pretty
you
much
did,
all we
did
did.
you sell the striker, the boy that everyone was in for?
No, Jake Young.
Oh, okay.
So 2-0 down at half time away at Swindon, we decided to put him on. And, in doing that, then took him out of contention.
Right.
So he's sticking around. And it's probably been the only bright light in the last few weeks for us. But, we can go there in a minute. You, from a results perspective, so you obviously lost, you were saying, against Wigan 3-2 on Saturday.
Yep. Yep.
You beat Wimbledon 2-1 in the
Yeah,
EFL
3-1,
Trophy. So,
3-1, 3-1, yeah, 3-1. We
sorry,
battered them
3-1.
early on.
Oh, yeah, you
Battered
got
them early
last
on.
minute.
Yeah, we battered them early on. We scored 2 in 3 minutes. Then Wimbledon came strong in the second half. We were under the cosh. They scored, I think, in the 88th minute.
Yeah.
And Ricky, thank fuck, who came on, he was brilliant. He pressed the life out of him in the last 20 minutes and then scored a great goal. Ran away from the corner and basically had an open goal.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday was a weird game. We had 28 shots. I think they had 4 shots. They scored 3 times. Defensively, we weren't great. Offensively, not great. Probably the worst we've defended for a while. I'm thinking it's a one-off. Wigan are very good on the counter. They're very good technical team. They know what they're doing. Bar their points deduction, they'd be top 8 quite comfortably.
Yeah, didn't I read Darren saying it will be one of your toughest, if not toughest game of the season?
Yeah, and I hate when you say shit like that. So, but because I always get like OCD about it. Shit, you keep saying that. You said it about Lincoln. We fucking drew there, so stop saying that. So, they obviously are. I think we've lost twice in 24 games to the same fucking team. So, new bogey team. But we huffed and puffed. We controlled the game. We had 65% possession. We had 28 shots. We just ran at it in both boxes.
Yeah.
But what I love about us is there's no fucking quitting us. Like, we're 3-0 down. They score goals at the weirdest times. They score when we're on top. Then in the second half, they score again when we're just starting to warm up. And then you're thinking, okay, they're down to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I fancy us here. And they fucking score. Mm-hmm. So it was almost pitch perfect for them. Scored right at the right time. So then we scored in the 92nd minute. And then we scored in the 94th minute. And I swear to you, if that game went on another 4 minutes, we'd have won the fucking game. There's no quitting us. I love that about us. That was like last year.
Giving up. You 2-0 down.
No. We'd have lost 4 or 5-0. Those 2 late goals were so important. And it was just all about, it's who we are. And there is no give up in us. And we're playing the way we play. And I like that about us. And yes, it's shitty to lose at home. And yes, it's shitty for the run to end. But also, runs end and new ones start. And somebody's going to get fucking murdered, Phil.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get murdered. And everyone wants to keep talking about what we're missing and what we're doing and what we're not doing, whatever else. I like to look at it the other way. You keep doing those things, somebody will get fucking murdered. Mm-hmm. And I mean that football score-wise. So I don't know when, but somebody's going to get a good scene too, because it's impossible to have 28 to 30 shots a game and not to go out and murder somebody.
Yeah.
And that is going to happen. And the boys are in a great place. And yes, they shit the bed on Saturday and lost, but it's not the end of the world. And we all know that the run into the season starts in March. So we've got to just get at it and keep at it and be there. And then March comes and the sun comes back and the pitches are better. People are fucking exhausted and we've got our 4 wingers all fully fit and fucking rampant. That's what we have to be. So yeah, it's one of them things. It's like, we're not Man City. We're not going to win every fucking game. We want to try to, but we're just not going to.
And even Man City aren't winning every game.
Well, fucking Liverpool and Peterborough, I think, have lost twice in the last 5 months. And they fucking chose the one weekend. I'm back in the States and they both fucking do it.
It
destroyed my weekend. Destroyed it.
Get it all over with in one go.
Honestly, my daughter's an Arsenal fan. Has given me that next to me on the couch yesterday. And I'm cursing fucking the Liverpool goalkeeper fucking multiple times. And I'm just like, what a weekend of results. both my teams hardly fucking ever lose, and they both do it in the same weekend. What are the statistical odds? But anyway, so yeah, it was Saturday was Saturday. I kind of had a feeling like it seems after every window, we're kind of like that shit happens, do you know what I mean? Or whatever else. And it is what it is. Look, we're a young team, we're not pitch perfect. Things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
People think we're gonna walk away with winning the league and whatever else. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna, take us time and we're gonna be there, we're gonna try. But like, don't expect like fucking, you start engraving trophies in fucking March or April. That's not how it works. Unless you're a team with a 30 million quid wage budget.
Another couple of tests coming up now. So you got Exeter away and then Wickham away, I think, the next couple.
Yeah, and you have to go and win at those places if you want to win promotion. So it doesn't matter who you play, whether it's Wigan at home, it's Exeter away, it's Wickham away. No game's easy in League One. But you've got to go into those games positive and go, look, we play well and we do the things right, we'll win those games. If we don't, we fucking won't. And that's just the way it goes. And obviously we got Blackpool away in the EFL trophy and everyone's gone on about it being the worst draw. It is what it is. Like, at the end of the day, if you want to win that cup, you're going to have to beat some good teams along the way and you're going to have to travel along the way. We've been fortunate. We've had a few home games. So we're going to have to go away at Blackpool, or one of the best teams in the league. And, we want to win, we're going to have to go there and win. We don't, we fucking don't. So if we win and you win, we've got a final we've dreamt about. We'll sit there and record the podcast live from Wembley.
We went to Derby and won, so anything's possible. I mean, like you say, you get through these. I wouldn't
beat Blackpool before away. So it's like, who's at it? It's another Tuesday night. It's another long trip. But if you start letting long trips, if you start letting bad pitches, if you start bad luck, all those things, you start talking about them. You let them in your head. You don't win promotions in that. You win promotions by playing on car parks if you have to, or on rugby fields. You win promotions by just fucking getting on with each game in front of you and not worrying about travelling along on a Tuesday, travelling along on a Saturday. Great promoted teams go above and beyond. They don't get distracted and they don't make excuses. So you won't hear out of me, our pitch is shit. You won't hear out of me, we've got too many games in February and March. You won't hear out of me, we've got to travel 500 miles. Because if you want to win promotion in a league like ours, you have to fucking do the hard yards and all those things. Period.
Well, like you said, two difficult games, but games we both got to play. But the final is still on. I mean,
100%.
It's the best. I'm happy with, as happy as I could be with the draw, but saying that it's still, we're playing a League One team and a very good League One team at that. But anything
it's a one-off game.
Yeah.
It's a one-off game. Is it at your place?
Yeah.
Right. Big crowd, one-off game, trip to Wembley. 40,000 Bradford fans will show up at Wembley. It's a fucking, this is what it's all about. And you've had a shite season so far, on and off the field. You win a trophy at Wembley, your season's completely different. It gives you fucking something. So, So let's see what that's the 17th or 20th of February. So it's not too far away, I think. So let's see what happens. I got a lot of work on over here in between and whatever. But look, the window's closed. Everyone's got what they've got, and they've got to get on with it. And those teams around us did a lot of business, but at the end of the day, we were never going to do loads of business. We didn't want to. What we never wanted to do was have fucking too many players in the squad. We feel already like we got the right blend. We brought a Brentford boy in who's fucking fantastic acquisition. Brentford did us a massive favour. As insurance, because Kwame's not, ready yet. He will be in a few games. And when our front four is properly back together, but if Michael does well, in the meantime, and obviously David Adjeboy, more competition, and that's just the way it is. So it is what it is. So let's see. But I'm excited. You know what I mean? It's great football. We're turning down fucking millions and millions and whatever for players. It's exciting. It's we're in a great place. Regardless where it ends up or where it finishes. Under that, our 21s went to Spurs and fucking battered them 3-0. We got a striker called Pemi, who's a number 9. People are going to love. He's quick. He's big. He's got no football background, bar playing 10 games for a non-league club before we got him. He's like a student in a college, an academic, a real, intelligent young boy. And he is raw, but he's got so many tangibles we love. And my 21s coach, I ripped his hole off because he made the mistake of messaging me during the game. And I had to apologise to him later when I was on a long walk after we lost and said, look, I'm emotional. Everyone knows. If you listen to my podcast, don't fucking contact me on match day. Like late at night, we win. Do it late at night. But he was so excited about how our 21s played and how this Pemi had played and whatever else. So I was, I did apologise to him, And but we've got I'm really excited. We've got like our academy is like fucking yeah. I'm
So where do you find a kid like that then?
Barry.
Yeah.
Barry goes to certain games because again he'll get tips from his son Mike Scout in the weirdest of places, and Barry will ring me and go, "I've heard about a boy at such and such," and I'll go, "Get in your fucking car. We ain't got a game. Go and see him."
Mm-hmm.
He rings me and he goes, "Like him." I'm like, "Throw him in the boot of the car and let's get him into the 21s."
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's doable. He's on a long-term deal. He's a project. So we signed him. He couldn't play for us legally, even though he'd pre-signed.
Yeah.
And he finally could play for us in January legally. So he can play in our first team now.
Okay.
And he's a lovely boy. He's strong. He's big. He's quick. He's everything we like in a centre forward. And yeah, don't be shocked if he makes his debut for the first team before the end of the season. You've heard it here first because
Mm-hmm.
he's a project we like. He's got a. I'm not going to put him under pressure.
Yeah.
There's a bit of Ivan in there.
Yeah. All right.
He's got a chance. He's only 19, 20. He's got a chance. But we've got some fucking great young players coming through. My God. We've got 4 players. Well, I shouldn't say this because they're not pros yet. We've got 4 of them in our under 18s and 17s that are 15 and they're quicker than Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all in forward areas.
So how much, because we've talked a lot over the last few years about the investment in the academy and getting Cat 2 and getting the dome. How much is it based on facilities now as well as recruitment that you're able to nurture them, or does the facilities help you with the recruitment?
No, the recruitment and the coaching outweighs the facilities at the moment because our facilities aren't as good as they could be. Yes, the tent, the luxury tent I call it, the dome was great.
Yeah.
Our pitches, obviously, we've put money into, and everyone's moaning about our pitches at the moment. I spend fortunes on pitches, so anyone accuses me of not spending money, I'll show them our balance sheet. We spend more on pitches than we've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to improve all the time, and we're looking to add new pitches as well at our training ground. So our coaches have done great. Our Dan, who runs the academy, I'm going to give Jason massive credit. He hired him months and months ago. We now have Anthony who's come in to help Semps at the 21s. He's an ex-manager of Woking. We have 18s. We've got Jimmy who left Cambridge United. 16s. We've got some really, really good coaches. They're not going to be with us forever. Mm-hmm. What we're now doing is we realised there were players in our 18s and 21s who were older than our first team players. So what Dan's done is he's moved the age groups up. Mm-hmm. If you're 15, you got to play in the 16s, 17s. If you're 16, you got to play in the 18s. If you're 18, you got to play in the 20s.
So you're not capping out where the age limit for each one of the levels.
Right. So we've gone quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And we unfortunately released a lot of players. And we've gone right down to just quality. And then we do a lot of one-on-one coaching. And that's the way we're going. And we've already got a chart where we've identified a 13, 14, 15 certain colours of players we think nailed on, where we track them now. They get a lot of individual coaching. And then we do a pre-pro deal with them when they turn 16 to 17, so that it's protected. Yeah. But I'm telling you, not next year, but in 2 seasons' time, we're going to have some players. We've developed our own Jack Taylor type central midfielder, which I've been moaning about for years. So we've got some, and then we've got the 2 young fullbacks in the 21s, Harley Mills, James Donnelly. They're our future. So we've got, they're coming. They are coming. 3 years' time, there's going to be some fucking talent in our first team from that academy.
Where are you on giving them exposure to first team football in the non-leagues versus having them within age group?
Some yes, some no. Some we feel can do it. Some we want more with us to coach. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to say going down 8 levels. We're not sure they're going to get the in because it's part time. They're going to get.
That's what I always wonder. With us. When you see kids going to smaller clubs down the pyramid, yes, first team football, but
some of those we do. We know they're not going to be with us. We're probably going to release them at the end of their contract. So we're giving them a chance to go and earn a club move. Yeah. We'll bang them out. Some of them we do because, like Charlie O'Connell, he's ready to go out. I think he went out on loan today. I forget where he's gone. He's gone top of non-league. So again, he's ready. He should have gone to a League 2 club. Yeah. With all fairness, And some of them, like I said, will go to clubs further down. But they're not going to make it with us. So we're giving them a chance to get themselves a proper pro career. We don't want them just on the scrap heap when they leave us. We want to try and help as best we can. So it's a bit like that, but I'm really, really excited about the academy. I'm excited about, I've always said this, best in class, my favourite new term. And we feel we're there and we're like, it's going to be a couple of years. So I'm still going to have to recruit for the first team for the next 2 years. But by year 3, we're going to there's going to be a period where there's going to be 4 or 5 at once. They're going to go bang. They're going to come in. And it's going to be a great group of players. And by the way, some exciting players to watch. Exciting. Again, but listen, we've already got some young, exciting players. So Anyway, so that was us in the league. You
Yeah.
you drew on Saturday. You had a 0-0.
Yeah, we had a 0-0 at home to Wimbledon. We lost away at Swindon a couple of weeks earlier, or the week earlier, 2-0. We beat Doncaster in the EFL Trophy. Just general, it's not pretty. No one's too excited about it. How soon can the season end? And
What has to
with the
happen in the
EFL
summer, Phil?
Trophy.
What has to happen in the summer? Tell me from your perspective, what has to happen? Because this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like, and I get it. While we've done the podcast, we're kind of like, yo-yoing
yeah.
promotion, COVID, and back to the champ, out
Well,
of the champ,
I,
Darren, no Darren, back to Darren, and you're kind of like
I think I
fucking,
saw some stat about 3 out of the 4 last League Two seasons, we had 37 points after 30 games, or something like that in each one of the seasons.
right.
You
Okay,
know,
so something has to change. Tell me the three key things you would do this summer as Bradford. If you were the CEO or owner, what are the three most important things
mhm.
and rank them in order, please? What will you do? I know what I've got to do in the summer for me,
Yeah.
regardless what league we're in. What are the three things you need to do?
So I think that we're always going to be challenged with lack of investment. That's always
Okay.
going to be a problem. But
Okay.
for me, I think that we need consistency of approach. So we need
Okay.
to have the same approach, the footballing philosophy. And I think that that's something that you've talked about, goes all the way
Mhm.
through the
Yep.
levels. You can have what's the right? It's not cheaper players, but you can stretch your budget further. I think
Absolutely.
if everyone has the same philosophy because you're looking for a certain type of player, they fit in. We've gone through so many cycles of this style, that style, this style, that style, just ends up with a hodgepodge of a squad who are not fit for
They
anybody.
can't. We have an identity now, even the
Yeah.
academy. If you go watch our 16s, 17s, and 18s, they play 4-2-3-1. They play
Mhm.
with wide players that are rapid quick. They play with a nine that presses, not
Yeah.
a target man that presses. We have and our centre backs split and pass and they roam. So we have through, whether Darren's here or not, that's how we're playing. That's who we are. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Nail your identity, keep your identity, and
Yeah.
hire to that identity, not in
So
someone
I'm a
else's
big believer
identity.
in that,
Yeah.
and that's because then you just keep going on these cycles. Now, the reason we're going on these cycles is because, from a business
Panic.
perspective, it's we have to sell the season tickets to get the money because there's no investment coming from the owner. That's the only thing that's driving the ability to pay wages. And so it's all, so this hype cycle, this continued hype cycle, we have to get off the hype cycle.
Yeah.
And and that's a lot easier said than done, of course, if you end up with 10,000 season ticket renewals next year versus 15,000 season ticket holders. But that's where we've been going. And every year it's like papering over the cracks to try and, let's get us so we can sell those 15,000 season tickets again.
So
Um,
one's identity. What's number two?
um, Number two, hmm. I mean, I would rather see us, in terms of recruit younger, rawer players, than the 30-year-old, got the experience. Because those kind of players, like we've always, because of the money side, I think we've always gone for players who are probably underpaid for some reason for their experience, and there's a reason for that. And oftentimes that reason is because they're injury prone, as an
Right.
example. So you're buying these players who are the players who can play in front of a large crowd, who have the capability to take us higher, who could probably play in a higher level than us. But if you're injured half the time, then that's no good to anybody. So I'd probably
Uh,
take a look at fitness, injuries, who you're kind of um, discounting people based on injury, their injury histories, and I just take a kind of a bigger perspective of that than I think.
Identity, recruitment.
Yeah,
What's the third
I mean,
thing?
what's left? um, because
Message to the fans from ownership.
well, yeah, I mean,
Communication.
I think that's the big thing for that is that we have to be open and real
Mhm.
with the situation we find ourselves in and not set false hope. I mean, you've talked before about hyping things up, and sometimes you want to do that, sometimes because you genuinely feel it that this time it's going to be, but that can lead to boom and bust, and that's what
Yeah.
we've been through. I think everyone needs everyone needs to be on the same page, and that's so far from the last few years away from where we are at the moment. There's so much. Um, when you think you can get behind a project, you can kind of go with the You can take the rough with the smooth. There's no
Yeah,
football team out there wins every week. Like you said, every football team has periods of success and oftentimes long periods where there isn't a
yeah,
great deal of success. But
yeah,
you got to feel like you're building towards something because that's where the hope comes from.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't think there's a lot of hope around at the moment from the fan base. Generally, it's like just end this, and start again next time.
Well, let's not depress our hard truthers.
Hmm.
Let's move on to some other talking points.
So that's where I think we are now around the leagues. Since we last recorded, your man Jurgen announced that he would step down, and while I'm sure that that's been done to death over the last week or so,
Yeah,
what were your thoughts on that?
gutted. Came
Hmm.
up my Twitter feed, couldn't believe what I was hearing. I thought it was April Fools. I've always said that he's the kind of neutralizer. He's protected an ownership that doesn't invest maybe like some of the other big clubs. Whoever they recruit's going to have to do the same. I'm not sure somebody's going to put up with that unless they're a younger manager. What he's done for the club, has been evolutionary. Winning a Premier League final for the first time in 30 years.
Hmm.
Just the football, the identity. I understand why he's done it. I understand he's probably fucking exhausted. He's full tilt. If I was the football manager, I'd probably last 2 years. I'd need a break every 2 years because
Hmm.
I'm full tilt. I'm not comparing myself, but his personality is he's all in.
Yeah.
He's all in. And if he can't give everything, he's one of those people who's real. Because most people go, no, pick your 15 million up and just get on with it. But no, he's not like that. And even if he was poor, he'd still fucking walk. So I think he needs a year to recharge his batteries. I think you'll see him at Bayern Munich
Hmm.
in a year or two. I don't think the previous guy is going to last the guy at the moment there is going to last too long. We'd love Alonso. I'm not sure we'd get him because Real Madrid might be sniffing around him.
Hmm.
Um, and I can't outside it. I think of too many candidates I'd love. I don't want somebody who's in their 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
I want somebody where it's Liverpool 2.0, or you can now call it 2.5 because you're going to have a new manager. They're younger, they're fresher. You want new ideas. You want, I think they're going to have a good season. I think we're going to win 1, 2 trophies. I'm going to win the league. I've always said that. I think Man City will win by canter. Um, yeah, really devastating. And I think the Premier League's losing another
Yeah.
great character. And I think, if Pep left in a year, the Premier League is like fucking, what are you left with?
Hmm.
So, a real, real shame.
Yeah, this is where you wish that Steven Gerrard had been on a better path
Um,
from a management
yeah.
perspective. It just never worked out for him, did it?
It's not him. It's not him. It's not him.
No.
Not him. He's not. He's not. He's not. With all due respect, some players just don't make great managers. In my
Yeah.
opinion, it's not him. It's not him.
Yeah. Someone said to me, "What about Brendan Rodgers coming back?" And then they proceeded to, I think
No,
shiver at
that's
that
not.
thought.
No, that's not going to happen.
Do
So
you do you think that it would be a manager that comes from overseas?
I think you look at the Brighton guy. I think Leicester guy might be an outside chance.
Hmm.
But you know, he's getting a bit of criticism, I think, from Leicester fans for keeping too much of the ball or whatever else. It could be the German guy. I think they were talking about the Nagelsmann or whatever else, who I'm not really fond of. Alonso would be ideal because he's
Yeah.
Liverpool
Yeah.
DNA. I really, really don't know. I mean, Klopp's number two's leaving. Did they give him a
Yeah. It's a
chance? He
shame
looks
that
like he's got a bit of character.
shame that the whole
I'm
system is going, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, the whole
it's
coaching
promoting
staff.
from within.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. So I really, an answer to the question, I don't really know. You know what I mean? I mean, an outside chance, or an outside shout would be, I think somebody who's going to manage anyway at the top and going to get a chance, but they won't take a chance on them now. He'll have to prove it. Will be Russell Martin.
Yeah.
I think when he takes Southampton up and he finishes top half of his style of play, I think bigger clubs will come in and take
Yeah.
him.
Now, do you think that Liverpool are likely to go the safe route and name a name as opposed to looking for somebody who's a little bit more unknown?
I don't know. They haven't got a sporting director. They haven't got a manager. So they got two key roles they got to fill now
Hmm.
in the summer. So look, they got the Klopp hiring right. I was kind of angry about the Brendan Rodgers sacking. So they got that one right. Um, I've no answers. I don't
Yeah.
know. I really, really don't know. So I'm kind of like anxious about it as a Liverpool
Mhm.
fan. Like I am anxious. I think Arsenal are getting stronger. United have got new ownership. They're going to get
Yeah.
stronger. Man City are inevitable. And then you're going to have Chelsea eventually are going to get there as well. Tottenham are flying under Ange. Um, Newcastle are the richest club in the world. I'm genuinely concerned that if we don't get it right,
Mhm.
we're going to fall to the back of the line.
Mhm. So let's go to the championship. A couple of things I
Yeah.
want to Darren Moore got sacked.
Yeah,
Didn't last
rightly
very long at
so.
Huddersfield.
He's won 3 and 24. That's
Yeah.
terrible. That's incompetence. That's
So
terrible.
so does because earlier in your reign, you didn't keep managers around for very long on
Yeah,
occasions. Does
yeah, but
that
like
does that
winning
reputation
three.
stick? Or is
Yeah,
or will another manager say, look, he just did a bad job?
he
It's
did
not
a
that I have
bad
to
job.
poison
It's just
chalice.
no, 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 no. I think it's poison chalice, but they went and won their game 4-0 at the weekend,
Yeah,
and they fucking like battered somebody. So
Clifford
they
Wednesday.
obviously yeah, so they're obviously like decent enough, you
Yeah.
know. He just did a shit job. It happens. Doesn't mean Darren Moore's a shit manager.
Mm,
You got Wednesday up. He did what he did to us.
yeah.
He done previously well. I'm sure he'll be back, but some managers just have a bad run. They do a
Yeah.
shit job. And
Yeah.
he did a poor job. To win 3 games in 24, it's just done a poor job.
Mhm.
So, you hold your hands up, you move on. And many of these managers who've done poor jobs end up getting other jobs. It's amazing. So I'm sure he will.
So a couple of transfer things.
Yeah.
By the time we publish, this appeal will probably be known. But Blackburn have attempted to sign Duncan Maguire
Yeah.
from
Weird one.
Orlando, and he was on the plane going to Blackburn. Then was told it was off when he was got on the halfway over the Atlantic. Went to Sheffield. Was waiting on Sheffield Wednesday. Then Blackburn told him it was back on again. Hot-footed it back over to Blackburn to sign, and it seems like they didn't get the paperwork in place in time. So I think that's what the appeal is waiting on.
What
Um,
I don't get with some of these deals is why do you wait till that day?
mhm.
Like you obviously knew a couple of days before you were trying to
Yeah,
sign a boy from America. So that's a more complicated transfer. That's foreign jurisdiction. That's different, regulations. What on earth? Listen. I'm not criticizing Blackburn. At the end of the day, who knows? I don't know. There's got to be a simpler way of making things happen. I think with DocuSign nowadays, there's no reason for any of that to happen. The one in August that happened to us, that wasn't our fault. I know exactly
yeah.
what that happened. So, at the end of the day, you got to have all your ducks in a row. So I feel for Blackburn. They're having a horrible run, but they sold a 19-year-old for 18 million quid,
Mhm.
which gives you hope again.
Yeah,
You
but
get it right, you get in the championship,
I,
you get a good graduate from your academy, you're fucking making some serious moolah.
I think they were waiting on that to close before they could make the
I understand
sanction
that.
the investment.
I get that. I get that. They're running themselves. I think they have to spend what they bring in. I think
Yeah,
that's just the way it is, and
yeah.
that's fine. Okay. And I think there's some great people behind the scenes at Blackburn. And to get 18 plus 4 for that. But listen, Palace did good business. I think he's a wonderful young player. So, and Palace are going down that route where they're signing younger, talented players. So I like that approach. But yeah, Blackburn, I think they'll be okay in the end. They've just had a bit of a on and off shitty season with Sammy Szmodek's being the standout.
Yep.
But their managers had a tough run because they haven't had that explosive amount of money to spend on players, and
Yeah.
losing Barrett and Diaz and everything else, and Sammy stead in, and I think they're rather young, but I think they'll be fine. They'll be back. But what a deal that was!
And another transfer was Ali Al-Hamadi from Wimbledon
Yeah, yeah, boy, I
going
tried to
to
buy multiple
Ipswich.
times. Yep,
Uh-huh.
yep, 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 yep. Fair play to him. Fair play to Wimbledon. In fairness to Wimbledon, they'd always promised to ring us if they had a deal. And when they rang Baz and told him Ipswich were on, we were like, "Good luck and good night,"
You
because
knew there was no competing.
you're not competing with that.
Yeah.
We had to go up last summer to be able to sign him. We knew that, and he was like big
So
target
he
for us.
he only joined Wimbledon a year or so
Yeah,
ago.
great business, great
You know,
business, great
ha-
business. I'm gonna tell you
what
how it
what
works.
changes then? So what changes in a player that was
So
available on free 12 months ago or there or thereabouts, who's
So
now
I know his agent really well,
Mhm.
and we'd had a coffee about 18 months ago, 12, 18 months ago, and we had a coffee talking about football and stuff. And he told me obviously the story that he'd been released when the champ he went to Wickham. He wasn't getting it at Wickham. They loaned him, I think, out, and then Wimbledon signed him. But he always had potential. He was young. It just hadn't
Yeah.
come out yet, and these things happen like that. That's life. The worst part of this conversation is that this agent told me, it killed me. He showed me the message. He'd messaged somebody in my academy a few years ago,
Mhm.
somebody in recruitment and whatever else, about having him in on trial,
Yeah.
and we never got back to the agent.
Yeah. The ones that slip away.
And I'm like, for fuck's sake, but that happens all the time in
Yeah.
football. And here I am a year later trying to pay a mil and a half
Yeah.
for him when I was trying to sign him, you know what I mean? And whatever. But look, I think Ipswich has signed a fantastic player. I really like that signing. Really like that signing. And yeah, I think He's a good young talent, good age, scoring goals. I like the way he plays. I like his pace, his movement. He's going to play hard. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Great business from Wimbledon. Fair play to him.
And then into League One, so Nathan Jones was confirmed as Charlton manager yesterday.
Yep. Yeah, good move from.
As
I think
we said
he
before,
probably
big club, club waiting to be.
massive, massive club. I don't look. I think he's had a hard time getting back in since his last sack. So I think great opportunity for him. Great club, great opportunity, great fan base. Yeah, well done, Charlton.
And another point in League One. So Bolton, the firm Ludonautics, I think they're called. So they're run by Ian Graham and Michael Edwards. They were behind Liverpool's recruitment process.
Yep. I heard about this a few weeks ago. To be
as
fair,
opposed to paying them, they've given them shares in the club.
fair
What's
play.
your feeling on that?
I think the owner Sharon of Bolton deserves benefit of the doubt in any decision that people might not agree with, because she's pretty much got all her decisions right. So it's not what I think. I guess it's what your manager thinks.
Yeah.
I guess if you do a certain recruitment a certain way and it's based around this, and they've had the solid manager for a good few years now, I guess it's explaining to them we're doing a new thing. So it's how open managers are to new things. I'm sure he's open to it. I'm sure it's going fine. Both are a big club. I've said this already. The guy's now Mug who's come in from Liverpool. He did very well at Liverpool. He's turned him down. So he obviously believes in it. Not something I do, because obviously recruitment is a big part of what I do with Baz and everyone in the building. But, I think you have to be open-minded to all of these approaches now. I think we live in a world now where you can easily dismiss things.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, no, actually, this is just the way the world's going. The whole share thing, yeah, that's good value. You're not having to pay silly fees and you're giving them somebody a small bit of equity. That's brilliant. Because if it works, it's win-win for everybody. Yeah. So again, who might question the Bolton owner? She's done a magnificent job since day one, going in and saving the club.
Yeah, you look at where they were and where we were, and they've been on the journey. And
she's made a lot of good decisions, a lot of good decisions that have led to this point. So again, I think if anyone's criticizing her, I think she gets the benefit of the doubt that she's obviously very shrewd and knows what she's doing. Fair play to her. Good on her.
So we'll just go to a couple of questions before we wrap up. So Stephen on email, I know this is something back when you were in the Championship last time we talked about a little, but he says Darragh has previously talked about expansion of the scouting network for Posh.
Yes.
If we go up, would there be a European scouting capability in place that we could exploit to maybe help in the Championship?
Yes. I'm doing my plan A and plan B. And in plan A is international scouting. Yes is the answer to that. Yes.
Now, when you start building international scouting kind of networks, are you, is the model, that the scouts are freelancers and now you're kind of contracting with them on your behalf, or do you build your own infrastructure around that?
No, so I'll find some people who will basically work in those places for us. They'll still be not freelance, but they'll have other jobs.
Yeah.
But they'll have a chance to, as we improve and do well, they come on board full time maybe. But they will scout and analyze exactly how we like to do it.
Yeah.
Nothing will change by the country and the language.
Yeah.
So everything will be done around our metrics, the
same
system we do, and everything, right down to the template we use. Yeah. We have great templates for right down on all the players. So nothing will change except, like I said, languages. Some people, their English might be a bit different than normal and whatever, but they're going to be foreign scouts, So that's something I'm embracing. I'm definitely going to embrace that. It's time.
And then we have Greg. He just asked for thoughts on Gillingham's new ownership so far. So 13 months in, suggested that the former owner is still being involved, and any advice that you have given them if they'd reached out, like you previously said, sometimes new owners in the game do. Have you had anything to do with Gillingham since the new owners came in?
No, I know Scally's still there because Barry speaks to him, whatever else. And look, I think the new Gillingham owners have put their money where their mouth is. They brought a lot of players in, have spent a lot of money. I know some of the wages they've paid. So can't criticise them at all. They seem to have done everything right. They don't seem to over-interfere. I think they've kept Scally in there like I kept Barry, because obviously Scally's got, even though me and him don't love each other and don't get on, he's got years of experience.
Yeah.
He's been up, he's been down, he's whatever else. He's not a mug. They've got some good, I think they've got Kenny Jackett involved. They've got some good people behind the scenes. So I think the Gillingham owners have done everything you do as an owner. That's right. Yeah. They pay their bills. So yeah, there's no criticism there from me.
What's the, I'm thinking onboarding process isn't the right word, but when you're coming in, you buy a football club, you've not owned a football club before. We're seeing a lot of folks coming in and doing that with all the investment What's that learning process look like over the first 12 months?
I'd say
Because
there's a lot of Vaseline involved. There's a few of them have got taken it right up to you know what, you know what I mean, like from agents. But for me, it was easy because, like I said to you, I had a process, I had a way I wanted to do it. I had Barry working for me, I had other people working for me as well that were in the club, you know, watching what was going on. I'm not a mug. I think for some of them, you know, it's they use agents, they use whatever else, they bring in people. So there's some great stories, there's some bad stories. It's not always going to be perfect. So my best advice to any incoming owner is FaceTime Darren MacAnthony. I'll tell you, and that's not my ego. That's me saying I'm happy to have a free conversation. I've spent 18 years doing this. Somebody who was looking at a couple of massive championship clubs who's based in California, I have done that. I had like a long FaceTime call as a favor to somebody to run them through the process on recruitment, on staff, on people, on the pitfalls and what can happen and this, that, whatever. Went through everything. This guy's looking at like one of the biggies, and I have a good relationship, really, really good guy, tech guy, and I had a really long chat. I feel like I should have sent an invoice afterwards, you know. I was on, but he was like a terrific guy, and I think any club who gets him are going to be very lucky because his heart's in the right place. So, but again, I warned them about, you know, who's introduced you to these deals, what's their cut, are you keeping them on afterwards, who's your point person, you need your own Barry Fry. Let me give you advice on how to do that. So, you know, I should really start a consultancy firm for foreign ownership who should pay me consultancy to advise them on how to do it.
That's your next career, your next football career.
There you go. There you go. There you go. But I'm happy to do it as an owner because I love the EFL and I want good owners and I don't want any more Reddings. I want, you know, more success stories. I want more Boltons. I want less Redding, you know, horror stories. So, you know, as an owner, you know, you can never be jealous of people's success because you want our league to thrive. You want everyone to do really well. So anytime I can help, I'm joking about charging. I will help because I want our league to do well. So so that's it.
And you know, and that's why people like Paul Scally stick around, or why owners keep people like. And I'm not just highlighting Gillingham, but it happens up and down the country where, you know, when you have change of ownership and regime change, you often have fans who think, well, they want nothing to do with those that were there before, and why are they still talking to the CEO? Why are they still involved and everything? But they know where the cobwebs are, and they know
100%, 100%. Absolutely. I can tell people 5 quick points straight away to look for things that are coming your way when you buy in. So, yeah, absolutely. So, look, well, you know, we just want the EFL to be in a better shape. So thank you very much, Philip. Thank you to all the fans out there. Appreciate your support. Apologies for 2 weeks later after the last one, but, you know, we'll try and be as regular as we can.
Yeah. No, and of course, keep those questions coming. Contacts at hardtruthfootball.com or just tag us on social, DM us, all those things, and we'll get them added to the list. But
thanks, guys.
Next week, I hope you have a great week and we'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody.